Many people have big life questions.
Should robots pay tax? Is nuclear power evil? Is everything okay with your meal?
But the only way to find the answers is by speaking to the experts or reading the information. No one has time for that. My name is Rhys James, and I'm not an expert, but my diary is empty. I'll ask the questions you don't think to. I'll get the answers you didn't know you wanted.
I do not believe it's neurological warfare.
I'll do the research. As in Rhysearch. My name is Rhys. It works written down. You're through to Rhysearch. Please leave your name and question, and I'll have an answer for you within 1 calendar week. Beep.
Hi, yeah, I'm just wondering, I'm really struggling with my attention span. It's bad at work, I'm barely listening in conversations. Even films are, boring to me now. So what's going on there then? Why can't I concentrate?
The brain. First discovered in ancient Greece when the ironically thick Aristotle claimed it was a radiator for the body's more important organs. Since then, it has gone on to achieve all sorts, in science, sports science, and even more. From preventing diseases like HIV, to creating shops like HMV. From inventing the aeroplane, to inventing actual radiators that genuinely heat and cool us, you old Greek idiot. But the capacity of the brain is shrinking. Where once it said the average brain would think of enough things in one lifetime to fill 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools, now it can barely concentrate on a single hot tub's worth. To find out more, I spoke to author, speaker, and professor of informatics, Gloria Mark. Gloria, is it true that attention spans are in decline?
They are, yeah. I've been measuring.
These days, the brain is on its last legs, unable to concentrate on anything that isn't bright or breasts. Some say it all started when museums began including double-digit paintings instead of one big painting you all spent hours looking at. Others say nothing, for they were too distracted to even hear the question. But should it be a concern? Could the fact no one can be bothered to read a novel anymore save the rainforest? Or are we staring down the barrel of a future designed for short attention spans? An Olympics with the 10-metre sprint. Pornography watched on double speed. Jamie Oliver's 15-second meals. With all the answers, Gloria Mark, PhD, who has chosen to tackle the attention span crisis by writing a 368-page book about it. Sorry, it's me, isn't it? So, Gloria, how have attention spans changed over the last couple of decks? That's snappy for decades.
So 20 years ago, we found the average amount of time that a person would spend on any screen was about 2.5 minutes. In 2012, we found the average was about 75 seconds.
Yeah. And what is it now? It's about 47 seconds?
We find that it's about 50 seconds, 44 seconds.
47 seconds?
57 seconds.
47.
The average is 47 seconds.
Thank you. Now, how on God's green earth do you measure something like that?
Yeah, so 20 years ago, we didn't have the technology we had today. So we would follow people around.
Christ.
And we would have stopwatches.
Christ.
And every time people did any activity, we would click the stopwatch and we would note down what they did.
Any activity?
In the workplace.
Right.
They know this. They all consent to it, of course. We're not doing this behind their back. We're doing it very openly.
If you say so, Gloria.
Yeah. And so I would say around 2012, there was a technology invented that could log people's software activity. And switching windows is a pretty good proxy for how people are switching attention, right? So if I'm switching from a Word document to email, from an Excel document to TikTok, it's a pretty good indication that...
Yeah, or switching from the Thames Water website to the NHS app or Farm Simulator to a private browser window. But how can you know for sure what someone's concentrating on just based on what's on their screen? Like right now, for example, I'm looking at you, I'm listening to you, but I'm thinking about custard.
Yes, and I could be looking at you and thinking about the most delicious refrigerator oats with berries and walnuts and chia seeds and flax seeds and Greek
While
yogurt.
Gloria tells you about all the things she could be thinking about while looking at me, let me tell you what I've been thinking about while looking at me. Attention spans have been declining rapidly over the last 2 decks and appear set to shrink further, but maybe for the better. We currently shift focus every 47 seconds, but if it reaches a point where we shift focus every 0 seconds, then we'd never actually shift focus, offering us a hard factory reset and constant concentration. Bingo.
Beans and mash, is that what it's called?
So,
And
Gloria...
bread pudding, so I totally agree with you.
Yeah, Gloria, why are attention spans declining? Is it social media?
Social media is one factor, but there are so many things going on. The smartphone was invented in 2007.
Do you have a smartphone, Gloria?
I have a smartphone.
What model, if you don't mind my asking?
I have the iPhone 15.
Oh, lovely stuff.
Right? And so remember, prior to 2007, attention spans were a lot longer.
So 2007's when it all changed.
Yes. So the smartphone plays a very big role. Of course, social media came on the scene. There was Facebook and then just a slew of other social media sites not too long after.
Well, that's MySpace erasure, but never mind. Why is it such an issue, smartphones and social media?
The problem is that we have become habituated to shifting our attention. And every time you go in front of a computer or your smartphone, you're sitting in front of the world's largest candy store. And we can't help but be tempted to look up information or urge to go to social media.
Actually, the world's largest candy store is called Sweetie in Cleveland. At 40,000 square feet and with over 4,500 different types of candy, it's almost guaranteed to tempt your sweet tooth. But it's not the only thing to do in Cleveland, which is also home to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, whose most recent inductees include Ozzy Osbourne, father to his son, Jack Osbourne, who at the age of 10 was diagnosed with ADHD, a condition affecting people's attentiveness and ability to concentrate. Other famous figures with the condition include Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, and Thomas Edison, whose inventions included the carbon microphone used in early telephones, which would eventually develop into what is today called the smartphone, widely credited for causing a planet of people so thick they can't focus on one topic for more than a few seconds. So, Gloria, tell me, is it making us stupider, all this, the things you've been saying?
Well, that's a really great question. I would say our reliance on technology, I mean, in some ways it's making us smarter. In some ways it's making us
Unsmart?
less smart.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Damn it.
Well, we know from research that reliance on GPS has actually affected people's ability to navigate the environment when they're not using the technology.
Well, yes, but crucially, I have got GPS, so I don't need to navigate, do I, Gloria? Why is this such a problem?
The size of the hippocampus actually has shrunk with people who rely on technology.
Hippocampus. It's part of the brain. Okay.
Yes.
Well, so it's actually gotten smaller. Well, I've always said it's not the size of the brain, it's what you do with it that counts. Well, you're telling me what I do with it only takes 47 seconds. But surely it's not a bad thing to be able to shift attention quickly, Gloria, because at least then we're not wasting time.
The main reason is that shifting your attention fast is associated with stress. And when people are stressed, they're not happy.
Have you considered they might just be stressed because you're putting sensors on them and looking at their computer screens and wearing a lab coat while standing behind them with a clipboard?
Yeah, we do take that into account, but we're using sensors that are in the background, which are not very visible. You get used to it.
Right, and what can we do about all this stress?
A lot of people practice what's called mindfulness meditation, and mindfulness can clear the clutter in our minds. And mindfulness is just simply about focusing on your breath.
Mindfulness.
For about 20 minutes.
Mindfulness can help clear the clutter in our minds. Mindfulness is just simply about focusing on being fully present in the moment, free from distractions, and truly conscious of thoughts and sounds through the ancient practice of shutting the F up for a second. Essentially, it's doing lots of obnoxious breathing with your legs crossed and the sort of unachievable posture you only normally see from a girl in a flowery dress on a bicycle in a film. In order to achieve such a state, many people meditate by listening to a mindfulness podcast. But with so many mindfulness podcasts out there, I find the idea of getting through them all actually stresses me out further. And so, to feel truly zen, I listen to several of them at once on double speed.
When your body feels ready, you may gently close your eyes and your body as you observe this.
So feeling the entire body.
Allow whatever it is you notice.
You need to notice
Harboring
like
no
your
judgment.
thoughts, your heart rate, when you're ready, with your river of but more the feeling of being
And open your eyes.
Ah, nothing's more relaxing than efficiency. But mindfulness isn't the only way to deal with stress. Some people go the full whack and do what's called a digital detox, handing in their phones and devices at the door of a spa or resort, forced to engage with the world and or plunge pool before them to try and trick their brains into actually enjoying real life again. And they can be extremely effective. 6 months ago, my common-law wife actually went on a 2-week digital detox, which was so successful, she's been unreachable ever since.
This is the Vodafone voicemail service for...
Fair enough. Gloria, do we even need to bother with deep thinking? Most of the deep thinkers I know are the most miserable twerps about, whereas the sort of surface-level bozos, the knuckle-draggers and the numbskulls, they're happy as Larry, aren't they? Ignorance is bliss. So could this whole situation make us happier as a species in general?
I would say not. Now, thinking deeply, we get great innovative thinking when people have the opportunity to do some kind of deep thinking. That's where great ideas come from, great scientific ideas, great literary ideas.
Great geography ideas.
Great philosophical ideas. So
Great food tech ideas?
I think people need to have the opportunity to take time to be able to think deeply.
But there's been loads of good ideas in all those fields since the invention of, say, the television. And when that came out, people said that was going to ruin our attention span. So does this not just get leveled at every new technology?
Oh, this goes back to Socrates, who thought that the writing system was going to ruin our memories.
Oh, don't get me started on the ancient Greeks, Gloria. If you want your marbles back, you'll have to win them like the rest of us.
I see. So it's, this goes way back. Every new technology that comes along has raised fears about how it's going to affect our minds.
Well, what about the fact lots of these new innovations designed for short attention spans have failed? Like Vine, 6-second videos, dead. Quibi, 15-second TV shows, dead. Even big films have gotten much, much longer, sometimes up to 3.5 hours. I mean, doesn't it show that we are willing to focus on something as long as it's actually good?
Well, that's a really good point. And
cheers, Gloza.
Yes.
You hear that, Mum?
When we're intrinsically motivated.
She said it was a good point.
To pay attention to something. Yes, we pay attention longer, for sure.
Yeah, she did.
But it's really interesting. You bring up films. The shot length has decreased over the years, and now the shots are going to be changing about every 4 seconds. And if you watch a Michael Bay film like the Transformers, they're going to be shifting every 2 seconds.
I see. So what you're saying is, though the films have got longer, they've sort of simulated the idea that you're watching just TikTok for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because it's so many different shots all the time.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to think about it.
Well, lots of people are worried about TikTok, aren't they, Gloria? Mainly because of data. But get this. In China, where TikTok is from, they limit how much of it young people can watch a day, and they promote educational content. Whereas over here, we're free to watch as much of the more mind-numbing TikTok piffle as we like. Do you think this is a plan long-term to make us all thick and unable to concentrate, thereby eventually destroying our economy while their workforce thrives, making them the main superpower?
I personally do not think that. People have short attention spans on TikTok. If they're controlled by TikTok, it's irrespective of whoever the owner of TikTok is.
It's not neurological warfare?
I do not believe it's neurological warfare.
Ah, I see. I see what you're doing, Gloria. Very clever. Yes, I agree. It's not neurological warfare. Very good. Now, while we're on this, I like to hold down the left of my screen on TikTok and watch them in double speed. Same with YouTube videos. What about you? What speed do you watch your YouTube videos in, Gloria? Oh, you one of these people who ups it to 1.5, perhaps 2 times?
No, I watch them at regular speed. I will say...
Regular speed.
Yeah, I will say something about YouTube videos, though. In a lot of ways, they speed up the videos for us because they use jump cuts. And so it would be a bit like this. Hey, this is Gloria with how to prepare YouTube tutorials. So you have to compress the video, making our speech unnatural by taking away these filler words. Remove that. And as a result, human speech becomes unnatural. And they do this as a way to say something really great quite fast.
Jump cut, you say? Never heard of it. Concentration may be difficult for some, but not for one group of society. The rise and grinders, the hustlers, the mindset mafia. These are a group of swollen men hacking their days to maximize efficiency through strict daily routines, non-negotiables, and wheelie bins full of extremely cold water. They've found foolproof ways to get ahead in business, out of the rat race, and into the rat nightclubs. They preach motivational mantras like, do something every day that scares you, even if that means treating a waitress like a human. They insist that masculinity isn't intrinsically toxic, just the weird way they do it. And they teach us all sorts of stuff for just $599.99 per annum through an online course.
My day is 6 a.m. to noon, and I'm not crazy.
Do you think when Jeff Bezos was building Amazon, he was worried about balance?
You're crazy for thinking it takes 24 hours, just like some dude in a cave did 300 years ago.
How much money can I give you for you to become gay tomorrow?
Do you think Kobe Bryant, do you think the Wright brothers were worried about balance? No.
My days are 6 hours.
You don't like your job, show up an hour early. Stay an hour late.
6 hours from 6 a.m. to noon. That's a day.
What kind of car do you want? Just tell me. What do you want to drive? When do you want it by?
And then the next day is 6 p.m. to midnight. I want you to become a girl. Would you do it for $1 billion?
No.
We need more guys like you. What I've done now is I have changed and manipulated time. I now get 21 days a week.
What are the 3 best side hustles for 15-year-olds?
Stack that up over a month, I'm going to kick your butt.
At no other time are you going to have this energy.
Stack it up over a year, you're toast.
Nobody that's ever done anything great has been concerned with balance.
You stack that up over a decade, I get a bigger, longer life than you.
You go to work, you spend $15 on a sandwich. What are you, an idiot?
Just become wickedly good at graphic design.
That may seem like foolproof wisdom, but think about it. If their entire angle is to get ahead of the competition, why would they teach us how to do the same when we are that very competition? If I were them, I'd sell intentionally false advice that would secretly cripple the competition. But I'm not them. I'm me, Rhys. Hi. So for your benefit, I've debunked their advice to create better, more real advice, all for the reasonable sum of the BBC licence fee. These are my top grind set tips. Number 1. Many of your rivals will start their day with a coffee. Wrong. Save valuable time in the morning and get ahead of the competition by finishing your day with a coffee. Number 2. Manifestation? Wrong. That's just daydreaming. You have to actually invest in your fantasies. Throw a coin into a wishing well. Number 3. Stable home life? Wrong. Family is nothing more than a distraction early in your career, so keep to yourself, become your own boss, develop passive income, and by the time you're 50, you'll have loads of free time, which you can spend going out and looking for a family. Number 4. Surround yourself with people better than you so you can be inspired? Wrong. Surround yourself with people worse than you so you can see how bad things could be if you drop the ball for even a second. Number 5. Intelligent people speak less? Wrong. The more you say, the more likely it is you'll say something correct at some point. Be the stopped clock of business. And finally, never be too scared to ask for help. Be too embarrassed. Okay, Gloria, here's one for you. Could you make a case that actually the ability to watch 2 screens at once is an improvement in concentration?
No.
Rather than declining attention span?
No.
Our ability to multitask has improved?
No.
Suddenly we can look at something on a screen and look at something on our phones, and at the same time we can take all of it in at once?
No.
Could you argue that?
No. I would argue that it's a decrease, because if you've got 2 screens going on, you are switching your attention. And when you're switching your attention, if you're focusing on your phone, you're not focusing on that Michael Bay Transformer film.
Oh, there he is again, Michael Bay and Transformers. Gloria, you're obsessed.
I agree, and I have taken flack for it.
Well, I'm not surprised. So what do we do about all this then?
So I think that we need solutions at a larger level, at an organizational level, or even societal level, to enable people to pull back from using their devices.
Well, you're in luck. You want solutions? I've got solutions. What we do know, phones are very difficult to pick up when you're wearing gloves. Gloved jobs, like boxers or midwives, they're not often looking at their phones when they're at work, are they? So why don't we just enforce workplace glove wearing?
Well, that's a great idea, equipping everyone in the office with boxing gloves, because then they wouldn't be able to pick up their phones. They also wouldn't be able to type. So people would have to be speaking into their computers. And it would be very distracting. So I'm not sure this would be a great idea.
Yeah, and I suppose then it would just feel like you're doing mindfulness, and maybe people would get too relaxed to work. How about this? Most people feel very self-conscious about looking at their phone when someone else is looking at it too, like someone reading the paper over your shoulder on the train. So do we need to just hire one person in every office who goes up behind you whenever you get your phone out and says, "Oh, what are you watching?"
Possibly. On the other hand, it could lure that observer into it, and so that the two of them together might be discussing the TikTok.
So then you'd need another sort of phone bouncer looking over the original phone bouncer's shoulder to check he's not distracted, and then you'd need another one for him. Before you know it, you're employing 1,000 bouncers looking over 1,000 shoulders.
Yep.
That's not good for business. I suppose you're right. Okay, let's go nuclear. Make staff hand in their phones at the start of the day, and to feed their addiction so it's not cold turkey, you have one giant communal screen in the office like the McDonald's ordering screen that they can use on a rota system. Now, the reason that's good is because, once again, someone would be kind of looking over your shoulder. You'd feel self-conscious. You'd certainly feel self-conscious like zooming in on a certain part of a photo, for example, when using the full span of your arms. You'd feel absolutely gross. Would that work if you had a little rota McDonald's ordering screen?
Yeah, possibly, but I can imagine the opposite effect happening where all of a sudden someone says, whoa, look at what I'm watching here, a Michael Bay film. And then you've got 35 other people gathering around the screen watching the same thing, and everybody is cheering it on. It's like being at a sports event.
Thanks, Gloria. And you'll stick around? You're listening to Rhysearch. Coming up, I'll be asking Gloria about some of the techniques actually being used to combat our waning attention spans. Don't go anywhere. So, Gloria, what are some of the techniques actually being used to combat our waning attention spans?
So another thing on a societal level is what's called right to disconnect laws. There's a law in France, in Ireland, Belgium, Spain, Italy also, I believe, where workers are not penalized when they do not answer work-related communications after hours. So if your boss sends you an email at 9 o'clock at night telling you to do work, you don't have to do it, and you're protected. But if you know email's not coming, then it'll break this habit.
Yeah, I do worry that once you're not allowed to do something, it does make it a bit more exciting. It makes it cooler to send an email between, say, 5 and 10 p.m.
I think...
Suddenly I worry all these underground email clubs are going to be set up. The police will knock the door. They'll flip the tables to hide the computers, send some dancers up there and say, no, officer, we weren't sending PDFs. This is just a good old-fashioned strip club. So there is a risk element.
Yeah, on the other hand, the answer is we don't know. We just don't know.
Well, what about during the working day? I mean, they can't expect us to keep up these 9 to 5s of solid work with just one break in the middle, can they?
Well, I totally agree with that, and I think there does need to be more breaks. You know, people have peaks of attention throughout the day. So there are times when your attention is at its peak. There's other times when your attention is in a valley. And
Sorry, Gloria, is this going to be a long answer? It sounds like it. Do you mind if I put some video game music underneath what you say, just to keep our younger listeners engaged while you...
That's fine, yeah. So if people can understand what their personal rhythms are, then they can design breaks around that. So if my attentional peak happens to be 10 a.m., the last thing I want to do is take a break, because then I'm not using my attentional resources the way that I could be using them. And then when I start to get cognitively fatigued, then I should be taking a break. And that's something that people can easily understand for themselves. You can keep a diary. You can discover what your chronotype is. Chronotype is your biological rhythm. The easiest thing is just keep a simple diary over a few days, and you'll figure out quite fast when your peak attention is and when your fatigue time is.
Would you not need to interrupt yourself working to write down, I'm working very well right now, in your diary?
That's true, of course. Of course you would be interrupting yourself, and the irony is not lost on me. But it does give you very good data, and it's information that you can apply moving forward.
Oh, sorry, you're finished. I thought you were off again.
Oh.
I liked Gloria's idea of writing a diary to keep track of your focus, so I wrote one of my own, and I share with you now the entry in which I learned of my own peak period. Dear Diary, it was an interesting Tuesday morning. I sat down at my desk with my usual cup of Horlicks and prattted around for a bit on my usual tab rotation. Wordle, emails, Rightmove, How to Win at Wordle, Bing Search, and X. Finally, around 11 a.m. I got to work, quickly entering a zone of complete focus. My colleagues did what they could to distract me, jogging about the place, loudly gathering items from drawers and whatnot, but it didn't work. I was in a flow state. Even the yelling played out as mere background hum as I was focusing so hard I noticed it literally heating me up. I was hot with concentration, stopping only to write the time in this concentration diary, and in doing so, noticed everyone else was so unfocused they had literally left the office, leaving Muggins over here to run the whole company himself. Eventually, I was concentrating so hard I had to be carried away from my desk by a very strong man in a yellow helmet, which just goes to show, it doesn't matter how hard you want to work, the modern world just won't let you. Gloria, one final question. Does any of this have anything to do with the Millennium Bug?
What's the Millennium Bug?
Millennium Bug was a concern that at the turn of the millennium in 2000, all the technology was going to go crazy and kill us.
Oh, that? No, I don't think this has anything to do with the Millennium Bug.
It's not delayed onset Millennium Bug where our technology sort of is slowly killing us, but just in a sort of attention span way, turning us into idiots.
Well, that might be true, but it's not because of the turn of the millennium.
It had been a journey of discovery. I had learned why we can't concentrate anymore, what we can do to concentrate again, and just how big candy stores are in America. But it still felt like I didn't have the answers. I had been listening to Gloria, but had I been hearing her, or even listening to her?
Take time to think deeply. That's where great ideas come from. Innovative thinking. Great ideas, deep thinking.
That's it. That's what I had been missing. If we actually think deeply and focus, free from distraction, what can we discover? What lurks beyond in the 48th second?
Pay attention longer.
And that's when it hit me. The answer had been staring me in the ears all along. Gloria said it all changed in 2007.
The smartphone was invented in 2007.
But it wasn't just the smartphone that came along in 2007. There was something else.
The Transformers. Michael Bay Transformer film, 2007.
The best films of 2007.
Transformers. Director Michael Bay, Transformers.
Michael Bay film.
Michael Bay's Transformers. A tale about machines becoming autonomous, causing chaos and nearly destroying the world in 2007. Sounds to me like delayed onset millennium bug.
It used to be that I was so sure. It used to be that I could endure. Just one screen was enough for me. Well, it isn't anymore. It used to be you could take your time. Now you've got to rise and grind. Manifest your chosen path. Atomic habits, ice bar. It used to be I'd watch a film and shots would linger like a plane. But now I barely get to blink before they've cut to a new frame. It used to be I'd concentrate. It used to be that I'd engage. I used to have a full-size brain, but it was shrunk by Michael Bay. I could end it all today, throw my iPhone 15 away, live on a barge, sell homemade art, go back to life a different way. It used to be what it's now not. Got GPS, but I'm still lost. My life counts down with each tick-tock. That's 48, so please switch off.
Rhysearch was from the mind, body, and soul of Rhys James. It featured the voice and expertise of Gloria Mark. It was manifested into being by Carl Cooper and Pete Strauss. They produced it. That's what that means. It was a BBC Studios audio production for Radio 4. Namaste.
Beep.